if you're a typical listener of Head in the Office, then you'll know exactly, based on this week's news, what news story we simply have to begin with.
If you saw it, you knew that we most definitely probably saw it and that we would be talking about it. That's how good this one is.
We simply can't help ourselves but cover this news story, and really it falls in line with everything we stand for.
That's right.
I'm going to read a headline.
Okay.
This is from the Daily Caller, a conservative news outlet, and this is the headline. Exclusive. Senate staffer caught filming gay sex tape in Senate hearing room, parentheses, graphic.
Graphic.
No, obviously, we can't show any of this because it's exactly what it describes. But this article is great. It says, leaked amateur pornography shows congressional staffer having, not going to say it because, you know, I don't want to get taken off of YouTube, with an unknown man in the Senate hearing room. Video obtained by Daily Caller shows. The alleged staffer can also be seen in a photo, naked on all fours, looking back at the camera on the table where senators often sit and ask questions during a hearing. And I just think this is, like, politics is so back. To borrow from one of my favorite philosophers, Gage, to kind of flip the quote a little bit, for every we're so over, we have a we're so back.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Within
we're back.
me lives an infinite we're so back. Oh my God, dude. This is great. But unfortunately, dude got fired.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that the Senate, or not the Senate, but the legislature in general, within the span of like 1 month, is already just doing two unjust things to gay men?
Yeah.
First, they get rid of George Santos for doing nothing wrong, stealing from Republicans.
It's a homophobic hate
Then
crime.
they get rid of this guy for doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, and it is interesting because it's like there was nobody else in the committee room, right? Like it's not indecent exposure or anything like this. Dude took photos. He knew he was gonna get fired for it.
Yeah,
purely for the love of the game, and that's why I respect it.
It's so sick. On all fours, looking back is wild.
With like a little I guess emoji style art covering his regions. You know what I mean? Of the Capitol. I can show you the photo if I have it here. Oh yeah, here it is. It's the Capitol covering dude's ass. It's good.
That's so good.
But
I hope he sat at the same seat that Virginia Fox sat at when she gave that little rant about how people don't work hard enough anymore, because he was working it.
And Republicans took the story and ran with it. I have a tweet here from Representative Mike Collins. Apparently, the guy who did this stunt, I guess I'll call it, was a member of Senator Ben Cardin's staff, a Democrat.
Who even is that?
I don't know. I think he's from Maryland or something like that, a senator from Maryland. But this is a quote from, or this is a tweet from Representative Mike Collins from the House. He said, Cardin's staff Wilden making porn at work and yelling free Palestine at a Jewish congressman. Here comes the best part.
Okay.
I have a question. How long would Cardin's filmmaker last in a free Palestine? So fucking good, bro. You can't make this shit up. Politics is so back.
I never would have thought about this. If you put this on the 2023 bingo card, I never would have thought of the late, barely, almost at midnight submission
Buzzer
of
beater.
Gay sex in the chambers.
It's so good. Sex in the Senate? What are we talking about?
Sex in the Senate with the tape.
Yes.
With the tape is the craziest part about this. Because you know this is exactly the same thing Madison Cawthorn said was happening. They just were smart enough to not record it.
The only thing that would have made this better is if he was a staff member for a congressional conservative. Then it would be literally perfect.
I'd be kicking my feet.
But given the air of like anti-LGBTQ behavior and actions on the side of the Republicans, I understand why this is unlikely to happen for them, because, you know, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, second best thing is a Democratic staffer doing this intentionally with his face in the photos, then getting fired for it. Like, he knew what was going to happen. And that's really why I expect
himself?
I think so.
Or did it just like leak?
Daily Caller just says it was like leaked to them, but from what I understand, I mean, he's posing for the photos. And I think they were leaked through either like a Discord channel or something to that effect that was for like gay staffers in DC.
No, that's crazy.
And so, his face was in it. He knew it was going to get out. You don't do something like this if you think it's not going to get out.
And it's like,
unless he's dumb.
Did he put the little capital over his regions, or was that something the Daily Caller did?
Daily Caller edited it in?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I was
going to
say, if there was a region to cover, you'd think it'd be your face.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to get away with it, there's ways to do it.
Oh, hell yeah. He totally could have got away with it. And that would have been, this story would be funnier if he didn't get away with it, but it still leaked. Like, or if he got away with it, but it still leaked.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, bro was just, he knew what he wanted and he went after it. And for that kind of motivation, I got to respect it.
Hey, I call it the American dream.
Mm-hmm. You know, we respect George Santos for defrauding a bunch of Republicans.
That's right.
I got to respect a gay staffer when he does what he wanted to do.
Being his authentic self.
Yeah.
Isn't that ultimately what we all aspire to?
Pursuing happiness. I mean, the pursuit of happiness, it's in the Constitution.
100%.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, baby. He got what he wanted.
Oh, my God.
And I can't hate him for it. Is this even a crime? I don't know.
This is cancel culture. Give the man his job back.
Make him the president.
Everybody has sex.
Why aren't we running him against Joe Biden in the Democratic primary? He's got my vote. What are we talking about?
He can make it on New Hampshire.
Get us out of here. Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. We hope that you have taken, during the time of the intro, taken a short reprieve, collected yourself from the section of the Senate that we just talked about, and you're ready for the news this week.
Sex and the Senate, an excellent spin-off series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Just a wonderful Beyond Parody section made for us, really. But before we get into the show, of course, as always, if you want to support the show, go become a patron. Get early access to all of our content. Think about it. In the future, you could be hearing about Sex in the Senate, Head in the House before anybody else.
Like 3 days earlier, on Sunday, on the sermon, you could be sipping your morning coffee on a relaxing Sunday. Well, actually, you could be sipping your afternoon coffee on a relaxing Sunday evening, listening to Head in the Office.
Or, depending on time zone, maybe morning.
Maybe that's true.
What do I know?
Who am I to say?
I did not make it so the sun rises for some part of the world different than other parts of the world. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That was God's plan, if you will.
100%.
Anyways, if you want to support the show, go become a patron. We would really appreciate it. We just got to our goal. We recorded our Q&A episode last week. It's live on our Patreon right now.
Go ahead and subscribe if you want to listen, but eventually it will drop for the rest of you, to say the least. But
probably before the end of the year.
If you want to support the show completely for free, you could leave a 5-star review on Apple, just like these wonderful people.
Many.
This first one by Totally Not a Cult said, "Take my woke money."
Wow.
I want to start by saying I was a sassy heathen, so the idea of a Sunday sermon did not overly entice me. However, while under the influence of a Central Coast Pinot Noir, I slid into the DM of the Hiddo Boys and asked for guidance. My newly acquainted besties answered my question and blessed me with the perfect solution. Join the sermon and be mesmerized by the best takes and let my mind be consumed by the woke mind virus.
Trademarked.
I am now part of the Sunday sermon and have shed my sinister Wednesday weenie title. These two boys, nay, these two gentlemen, with the #1 political podcast, deserve your support and money.
That's right. We've worked for it.
Hell yeah. Gage should never have to cry into his Cheerios ever again. Join the sexy woke gospel every Sunday by going to patreon.com/headintheofficepod/membership and pay for at least the Kennedy package so you too can bathe in the glow of these two beautiful men who are totally my besties in a completely non-parasocial way. 5 stars all day, every day. P.S. I condemn Hamas.
Well, thank God. That's a buzzer beater condemnation of Hamas.
Right,
I wasn't too sure.
At the 11th hour.
I don't know if you'd get it in time. The next review here is by your boy Charles, theme song of the #1 geopolitical podcast. They say, "Love the podcast, started listening fairly recently, and I'm now returning listener every week." Love to hear that.
Let's go.
My name is Charlie, and I am a left teenager in Indiana who hopes to have a career in politics or commentating eventually.
Oh.
It's hard to have people to look for. It's hard to have people to look to for actually based opinions while also being entertaining or engaging. Appreciate our completely real and not parasocial relationship. Well, thank you, Charlie.
Happy to oblige. This guy's coming for our job, though.
Hey, I welcome the competition. Exactly.
I'm a capitalist.
And capitalism without competition is exploitation,
That's
as
right.
my president Joe Biden said.
capitalism.
Yeah.
This next review.
Really the best thinker of our time, Joe Biden.
That's what I'm saying. Radical.
It's like we got Marx, we got Lenin, we got Mao, and Biden.
Revolutionaries, all right there. You know what I mean?
Generations.
Speaking of revolutionaries, this next one by Anna H. Hay 520. They taught me how to condemn Hamas. Now, off the bat, I gotta say that is the highest compliment that we could receive in one of these reviews. It used to be a model review. Always hit the Patreon. Always hit the leave 5-star reviews. Always hit the we are non-parasocial best friends. But right now, in this current moment in time within the cultural zeitgeist, us being able to teach you how to condemn Hamas.
Yeah, us being the ones. And for you to be
praise
able
to the Most High, you know what I'm saying?
For you to be able to take off the condemning Hamas training wheels and go on to condemn Hamas yourself,
all on your own,
it really makes me feel like a proud father.
I'm glad I could steward you into this new realm of enlightenment, really. But
we're
back
all about
to the
excellence.
review. I feel like one of the few people who didn't find Hiddo on TikTok. Before a long drive in August, I searched for podcasts about the indictments. After listening to my first episode, I subscribed and listened to more episodes the rest of my drive. I've been working through the backlog ever since. They're funny and thorough when they explain why they believe what they do. Their clear explanation why killing people is bad convinced me to condemn Hamas. Thank you. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, I will say watered down understanding of why we condemn Hamas, but I'll take it. You know what I mean? Training wheels and
I will say it's crazy just like looking up podcasts about indictments and us coming up.
Yeah, I think it's good. We might have put indictments in a title.
A little bit of SEO.
And then I realized that our previous title, the 3017 incident, had no SEO. Nobody's going to understand what that means. But hey, I think it's cool, and it'll be a little inside joke for our listeners.
SEO, search engine optimization for those people in the biz.
Yeah. Our next review, second to last review, is I Condemn Hamas by Infernal October. First off, I want to be clear that I condemn Hamas.
Nice.
Secondly, the show is awesome. How sure are we that these insightful, well-spoken young men are from Michigan? Can you prove it?
World may never know. Drop your address right now.
It's pop, not soda.
Real.
Roads always bad.
Roads really bad. Super. Lots of cracks and potholes.
Once you go up north, it's basically like being down south.
Exactly.
Politically, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. Apparently, I have an accent that I hear about from people who live out of state.
No, you have an accent. I don't. I speak normal.
Yeah. No, you exactly.
You
all have accents. We say things. Yeah, no, and no, yeah. Apparently, that's a Midwest thing.
Yeah. Go to Myers.
Go
to Myers.
Y'all don't even know about Myers, bro. Don't even fuck with me. That's crazy. This next review by Social Sleeper 60, the #1 geopolitical podcast. Do you like sound commentary on current geopolitical events?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy Marxist critiques of our failing capitalist system? Do you condemn Hamas?
Yes.
Yes, I do. I had to jump in and answer that one. Then this is the podcast for you. Jeremy and Gage bring in endless solid takes and Zoomer vibes with every episode of this incredible podcast. Well-grounded moral arguments wrapped in down-to-earth commentary on current events. Wow. What's not to love? They also have a Patreon for those who prefer to receive their liberal indoctrination on Sundays instead of Wednesdays. 10 out of 10 podcast would recommend.
If you can believe such a thing, that's high praise. Thank you very much.
Incredibly high praise.
If you all want your review read, you know where to go.
That's
Apple
right.
Podcasts, leave a review, 5 stars. We'll read it on the show. And before we get into our news coverage today, do want to announce soon we will be recording the 2nd annual Hiddo Award show. This time to celebrate everything that's happened in 2023, good, bad, insane, putrid. You get the idea.
Beyond parody, if you will.
For those of you that have or that have been around long enough that participated in the last Hiddo Award show, you'll know where we're going with this. But the nomination form for your favorite stories, for your favorite people, or maybe least favorite people in stories will open pretty soon. You'll be able to nominate stories, various political actors.
Exactly.
Each category will be revealed. It'll be a little Google form you can fill out. We'll make sure to have it out by Wednesday. When this episode drops, it'll be in the description. Nominate who you think deserves a Hiddo Award.
Exactly. Who you think deserves a Hiddo Award. What you think the craziest story of the year. Go check out the forum. And then on the week after, we'll gather all of those up, pick our favorite ones, pick the ones with most nominations, the damn near standouts, and then the following week you all will vote on what you think should win the 2023 Hiddo Award.
Yeah, so think back to your favorite moments. You know, maybe Glitch McConnell, maybe putting fingers around DeSantis.
Maybe it is 1317.
Maybe it's 3017. Maybe it's 3017. Maybe it's insane Israeli propaganda. Like, think back to what your favorite moments of 2023 were. Think of what awards you'd want to nominate those moments for, and you'll be able to cast your vote pretty soon. And then before you know it, we'll be announcing the awards live on the show.
And before you know it, it'll be 2024, actual election year. Insane. What a lead up it's been, let me tell you.
But before we get into 2024, of course, we got to finish out this year.
That's right.
And more specifically, this week with some news coverage. Starting off with Israel and Gaza, as we have been for months at this point.
Yeah.
Early last week, the United Nations General Assembly voted overwhelmingly on a resolution to call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza that passed 153 to 10 with 23 abstentions. Of course, Israel and the United States were among those voting against the resolution with a handful of other nations. And you'll never guess why they voted against it. And you'll never guess what amendments they proposed that didn't make it in that led to them voting against it.
Man, do tell.
They wanted to condemn Hamas. They said this resolution does not condemn Hamas. I think the person that was there representing the U.S. was like, why is it so hard to condemn Hamas? Why can't we condemn Hamas?
All seriousness here. Why is it so hard to get that? Like, we're past that part of this whole thing. Like, we are. Maybe there was a moment. There was a moment for like the week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks after the October 7th attack happened, where it was like, okay, yeah, this is actual discourse condemning Hamas.
Yeah.
But we are way past that.
Yeah, there was a moment there where there was like pretty alarming support among some people, very few, but some people on the left where they were like supporting Hamas. And that worried me. We called it out. We said that was bad. We did our fair share of condemnations of Hamas. But we're so far past it at this point, and the death toll that has been caused by the Israeli government has far exceeded what Hamas has ever done.
Yeah.
That I feel like we are onto a point where we should be condemning Israel. Every country almost is condemning Israel. We should be condemning Israel. The United States should be, and we should be doing something to draw back the death that's happening.
Like, God damn, what a fucking joke.
Yeah.
What an absolute joke that this is what. No. Sorry, guys. We recognize that there's a very real humanitarian crisis going on in Gaza. We'll throw $100 million at it or something, but we can't do anything else because you just don't want to say that these bad people are bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though you've said it before and you've said it a billion other times.
I can't vote for this UN resolution that already isn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
That just calls for that just calls for a ceasefire. We can't vote for this resolution because it doesn't condemn Hamas. I'm sorry.
And it doesn't condemn Hamas after we've already voted to condemn Hamas and after we've put into literally every single vote or any resolution about this matter a condemnation for Hamas. We have to keep reaffirming it to make sure that everyone knows that we do indeed in fact condemn Hamas. And if you don't, this thing I can't in good conscience I cannot vote yes for this.
Hamas isn't even here at the UN. They're not even here speaking for themselves. How could we possibly pass the ceasefire? They're not going to agree to this. They're not even here. You know, Hamas, the nation.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
nation of Hamas. Anyways, that resolution did not pass. Of course, even if it did, as I mentioned, resolutions are generally powerless. They're non-binding if they go through the General Assembly, so it's not like it's going to do a whole lot anyway.
What a useless organization.
Yeah.
What's the point?
The Security Council is really one of the only parts that matters for the UN, and I guess it is good to see that like 153 of the member nations are on board with the ceasefire. That's like most of them, you know?
That's pretty cool, I guess.
So it's good to see that there's not like unanimous support for Israel.
But it's like also, wasn't most of the Security Council also on board for a ceasefire?
Yes,
except us?
Except the U.S.
Except that's so cool.
Yeah.
Is Israel even part of the Security Council?
No.
They're not a rotating member or anything? Oh,
well, I mean, they're probably in the pool of members that can rotate, but they're not on it right now.
Oh my God, man. That's crazy.
Just the U.S. out here batting for Israel once again. By the time of recording this, somewhere around or perhaps above 200,000 innocent Palestinians have been killed in this conflict.
200,000.
Sorry, 20,000. My bad. 20,000 Palestinians have been killed in this conflict. I hope we never get to 200,000.
Yeah, it's 50,000 have been injured though.
Yeah, no, insane numbers. Compared to just over 100 Israeli soldiers, as of course the ground invasion continues.
The ratio there is crazy.
The ratio is crazy. Some people have pointed out that more Israeli soldiers have died now than I think the previous major conflict in 2014. Okay. I want to say. So the death tolls are higher, but of course, I mean, it's just what's happening right now is completely incomparable to 2014, is incomparable to like raids on refugee camps in the West Bank that we've seen. The death toll is just staggering.
Yeah, it's also, okay, yeah, more IDF soldiers have died now than in 2014, the last time something major happened. Same with the Palestinians. Like, way more Palestinians.
Yeah, and it's like the Israelis are the ones invading Gaza. They're the ones that have occupied Gaza. Like, obviously, like there is an expected death toll that's going to happen when you're trying to be an occupying force, whereas if you're just an innocent civilian, death shouldn't be something that can happen at the hands of a government, right? At the same time, of course, reports from experts say that the IDF has not managed to find, quote, a solution for the tunnels. Seems like they weren't strategically prepared for this.
That's crazy because they been knew about the tunnels. Like the tunnels aren't a new thing.
That's like the Hamas thing.
Yeah,
Hamas the tunnelers.
Known about this for a while. In fact, this has been like a thing with guerrilla fighters for a long time. Like the VCs way back in the 70s. You know, this is something that you'd think, I don't know. Netanyahu and his regime that's so focused on defense and so focused on this issue and always like talks about it all the time, like they're ready and they're able to protect Israeli civilians, would have thought about a long time ago. This is something that they recently should have planned
And you'd think, right, if Israel's stated purpose for this invasion and their bombardments is to get rid of Hamas, which we'll talk about in a moment why it's even more of a lie than it ever has been. If that's their stated purpose, then they would have figured out a plan before going in to deal with the tunnels, which Hamas is like notorious for.
Yeah.
How are you going to march in with no plan what to do about like the one asset Hamas has is like a quote unquote military, right? How are you just going to do that? It's a crazy blunder.
And it's like even like they had what, like a couple days before they actually invaded northern Gaza. They're not even going to try to like come up with something then. They're not even trying to sit there and think like, oh no. Instead they're like, oh, there is a list.
I mean, as we'll get to, it seems like their plan is to just kill whoever they see.
Look at this dress. It is a map of the tunnels.
Additionally, Netanyahu has pledged absolute victory. That's a quote from him, which could mean anything at this point. And as we'll talk about shortly, I don't even know what victory really looks like for hostages, for Palestinians, for Israelis. No idea. I did see a clip, though, from the Majority Report recently. One of the videos that they posted maybe a couple days ago at this point. There was some, I don't know if it was like a BBC person or just some British journalist was interviewing some defense minister or something like that from Israel. And they're basically coming out and saying like a two-state solution is not going to happen, which goes in direct opposition from what Biden is saying, where Biden is saying that he wants to see a two-state solution at the end of this conflict after Hamas is eradicated, which, of course, we've said isn't going to happen.
Okay. Yeah.
But it seems like, again, as we've talked about before, there's just no goal here. We don't know what the end goal is, which to me speaks to the idea that the end goal for Israel is just to get rid of them.
Well, it's like, how could there be an end goal when there wasn't even a goal to get in there in the first place? They didn't plan for the tunnels. They didn't plan for the one thing they got.
Yeah.
The one thing they knew that they had going in. The one thing that everyone, when they heard the news that Israel wanted everyone 1 million people to evacuate northern Gaza and move to southern Gaza, everyone said, Hamas is just going to go to the tunnels.
Yes.
They didn't think, like, oh, we should plan for this.
Nope.
We should just go in.
Before we move on to some more news, I do want to call out an unforgivably astonishing story out of Gaza this past week. So the IDF tweeted out a few days ago in a translated post, quote, during the fighting in Shajaya, an IDF force mistakenly identified 3 Israeli hostages as a threat. As a result, the force fired at them and they were killed. These are hostages that we're talking about. During a scan and inspection of the area in the incident, a suspicion arose regarding the identity of the dead. The dead bodies were taken for examination in Israeli territory, after which it turned out that they were 3 Israeli abductees. So the very people that the IDF is claiming to try to protect with this onslaught against Palestinians were people that they just executed out of nowhere. And to make matters worse, I have a quote from CNN. Like, that's not where this story ends. CNN said, quote, the 3 Israeli hostages who were killed Friday by Israeli Defense Force soldiers in Gaza were shirtless and waving a white flag when they were shot. The 3 men came out of buildings tens of meters from our soldiers' positions, the official said. At least one of the soldiers feels threatened and opens fire. 2 are killed immediately. 1 is wounded and runs back inside. The soldiers hear a cry for help in Hebrew, and the brigade commander issues a ceasefire order, but there is another burst of fire. This is, okay, to be clear.
Every step of the process here, things just got worse and escalated. Like there were so many spots where they could have stopped and were like, oh, hey, let's think about the situation that we're in right now. And they made the wrong choice every single time.
To be clear, to summarize what I just read, the IDF, whose stated goal is to save Israeli hostages. That's the whole pretext for this invasion into Gaza and the constant bombardment that's killing tens of thousands of Palestinians. They just killed hostages. And it's like, if that's not a reason to pause the war and commit to a ceasefire, so innocents stop dying, so your own people stop dying at the hands of the IDF, then I don't know what is.
If the situation in Gaza is so dire for the occupying army who's actively invading and conquering the area that they can't even tell who their own people are versus Hamas, even when I correct me if I'm wrong, do they speak Hebrew in Gaza?
I mean, I have no idea.
I don't know.
They speak Hebrew in Israel.
But, like, it's just like, you can't tell your own guys from... Let's reassess what's happening.
Well, and it's not even that. Imagine these aren't Israeli hostages. Imagine these are just regular Palestinians. They come out waving white flags. That's a death sentence?
Oh, yeah.
They're just executing anybody they see? What are we talking about?
One, it's kind of amazing to me that they reported this on their Twitter, like, so openly to the public and just kind of, like, admitted to it, but, like... A+ for transparency, I guess. You know, again, nothing is wholly bad, but What about all the regular Palestinians that they just shoot to death because they saw them? They found them in the street.
No, this to me is not a good sign for innocent Palestinians. This is exactly what we predicted. The Israeli ground occupation or ground invasion was going to be a disaster and was going to result in a bunch of innocent people dying because IDF forces are trigger happy and are convinced that they're protecting their ethno-state or something like that. This is insane.
The only minor critique that has even been launched at the IDF right now by like Biden and the White House is that, okay, maybe they're engaging in a bit of indiscriminate bombing and they should do everything they can to ensure that civilians are safe. One, who fucking knows what's happening? Well, we know what's happening to Palestinian civilians. They're getting bombed to oblivion. But like, again, when they're killing their own people here, and then the Israeli captain or whatever of the little squad that's going through here said, "Hey guys, stop firing." The dude said, "Nah." And
shot him through a wall or something, right? Like Israeli people that were taken hostages, people that again have been used as the pretext for the massacre that Israel is committing, were just killed by the very people that were supposed to protect them. And if that doesn't, to you, speak to the idea that this invasion, that this onslaught, that this genocide is totally invalid, then I don't know what will convince you. Because they're not protecting hostages. That was the whole reason for everything they've been doing is we got to get the hostages back. And here they just killed 3 of them out in the street.
Absolutely insane. Fucking insane.
That's not where the story ends, though. I have a quote from the Times of Israel. They said, quote, "Political leaders were quick to express their shock at the incident, but stressed that the IDF would implement the lessons learned and push ahead with their offensive. Even as family members of the hostages increased calls to pursue a new ceasefire that could lead to a deal to free their loved ones."
What is there to like learn here, really? I feel like this isn't a situation where you just like take a moment to learn and then keep going. This is a moment where you pause, go back and reassess.
Yes.
Because something is fundamentally wrong with this whole operation going on. This isn't just like, I made a little oopsie. Because there's no oopsie here when you kill not only innocent civilians, but innocent civilians on your side.
Yeah, and it's like I can't prove this because I don't have the data right in front of me. But like, has the IDF killed more hostages than Hamas at this point?
Yeah.
What the fuck are we talking? Like, Hamas has been treating them better than the actual IDF. That is not good for the optics game in Israel right now. Like, what is going on? And you have family members of people that still have, or you have people with family members that are still in Gaza that were taken hostage that are now thinking, what if the IDF just kills them? Because apparently if a hostage frees themselves or they're set free and they're kind of just, I don't know, wandering around Gaza, they don't know where to go, and they're found by the IDF, that's not liberation. You're dying.
They're just gonna fucking shoot them.
You could just die.
Absolutely. Like the lessons learned. We're gonna learn some lessons that we're gonna keep pushing forward. Maybe if someone's holding a white flag and shirtless and speaking Hebrew calling out to us to save them, we shouldn't just shoot them the moment we see them.
I thought the white flag was like the universal symbol for I surrender.
Yeah, I thought that was like a war crime or some shit.
To kill people that are surrendering? I think it is, yeah. Anyways.
Clearly unarmed. Oh no, you guys don't understand. Like, what if the person had like a bomb where when they raised the white flag, it was actually a trigger for a suicide vest?
Well, you see, this house that we bombed had a copy of Mein Kampf. Anyway, completely disqualifying. I don't understand how this story isn't bigger. I've seen reporting on it, obviously, because I was quoting some articles, but I haven't seen people talking about it all that much. To me, this is just like reveals Israel has no real plan. This paired with the tunnels thing shows that the IDF is completely unprepared and is not a capable military. What are we doing? We're not protecting anybody. We're just killing innocent people, even the ones that are supposed to be like the objective for Israel. We're supposed to be Israel's supposed to be saving these people, and they're killing them.
Fucking absolutely insane. But while we're on the topic of things Israel uses to justify their ongoing genocide, a popular claim the IDF continues to make is that they're engaging in precision strikes on every target that they hit in Gaza. This has been especially prevalent this week as Biden publicly stated that Israel is, quote, indiscriminately bombing Gaza, which is a big step for him, albeit the bar is in hell.
He's one step away from saying river to the sea, baby.
He's basically there. he's on the come up. What can I say? But based on an assessment compiled by the Office of the Director for National Intelligence, CNN reported that about 40 to 45% of the bombs Israel has been dropping on Gaza have no targeting system whatsoever. They are simply dropped from a plane with a hope and a prayer that they hit the intended target. If there even is an intended target to begin with, because that's a really big if, considering the whole scale of this conflict right now.
And motherfuckers have been calling us out like they're not carpet bombing. all right.
Really?
Like,
really not.
What is going on?
Well, I mean,
here?
I think it was Ben Gavir or some like IDF spokesperson that was talking to CNN and said, no, you don't get it. Like, yeah, we're using dumb bombs. We're using bombs with no targeting system, but we're having our jets fly really, really, really low so that they can definitely land it on the target that they want to.
No, we're not just firing into a crowd. We are picking people out to shoot. Like, the bullets are flying towards everybody.
Like, yeah, we're going
we have targets.
And my target is the Gaza Strip. Duh. Yeah. Come on, dummy.
My target's just the most densely populated place on the planet. Obviously, we have a target.
They said my target was northern Gaza. We told them all to leave. We told them all to leave. What's going on? But also, like, if this doesn't absolutely just, for lack of a better term, blow up the narrative that Israel is trying to protect civilians again, then I don't know what would.
Yeah.
I don't know what would. If they're just dropping dumb bombs, no targeting system, bombs that can go literally anywhere that they want to, any variable can happen that gets them to go anywhere to kill any civilian that they want to. How do we know? I don't know. Say more Israeli hostages aren't being killed by these bombs.
Yeah.
How do we know those are the only 3 hostages that have ever been let to roam Gaza? Haven't just been killed by a bomb.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 that we just talked about, all dead now, so they can't tell the story of how they escaped Hamas being a hostage of Hamas. But I would assume, I mean, if there's 3 of them, I'm sure more of them either got out or were let go as Hamas didn't have the capacity to take them with them as they're moving to southern Gaza or whatever it may be. Wouldn't be surprised if Israeli hostages maybe got away and were hidden out in a building that got bombed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and it's like if they have no real method for targeting, or if they have no real method for ensuring a bomb actually hits a target, and this is one of the most densely packed places on the planet, as I mentioned, then like, obviously innocent people are going to die.
And Israel commented, they said some shit like, oh no, we have like really good, like super advanced intelligence and like we like pretty much know. And it's like, what's your intelligence? There's a Hamas tunnel maybe under this hospital. Yeah. Maybe there's a Hamas tunnel under this, so we need to bomb like the surface.
There's a Hamas tunnel fucking everywhere apparently.
Oh, Jeremy, you don't get it. You see, if we bomb even though the Hamas is hiding in the tunnels underneath Gaza, completely safe right now, if we bomb the surface, maybe we'll bomb a building where they can like come out of the tunnels and they can't come out anymore.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
What I'm saying?
Or maybe their method is to just hit the tallest buildings in order, you know what I mean? Like hit the tallest building and then the second tallest building and the third tallest building. Like we do have targets, we're just knocking them down.
Yeah, they have targets. It's not really like based on anything. Like actually, it's not like a military target.
Well, there could be Hamas.
Target.
Hamas could be anywhere. Fuck.
They're using the old Fallujah tactic. Anybody over 15.
Yeah, even our own people.
Oh my God. But the Communist News Network has been pretty based this week, and they were able to somehow get a reporter on the ground in southern Gaza.
Which is fucking insane, by the way.
That's what I'm trying to like articulate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The only CNN has also gone into northern Gaza, but the only reporters that have been allowed into the strip at all at this point have been reporters who have gone on tours with the IDF, where the IDF controls everywhere they go, and I'm sure even controls the output of what they record, where they point their camera at, and what they say and what they let go to the public. Like every single story. Even like when Elon Musk went, he was with BB himself. And a bunch of
After
IDF
JQ
people.
posting.
We talked about that a couple weeks ago though. But either way, this is insane. Like there's no way that Israel let her in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like the thing that really surprises me here, right, is that this journalist gets into Gaza. First of all, brave as hell.
Yeah, it's Clarissa Ward.
Yeah, Clarissa Ward. She gets into Gaza, like, brave as hell, because Israel's been, I don't know if you could say targeting journalists, but certainly been killing journalists.
They've definitely been targeting Palestinian journalists, bombing their houses.
Like, being a journalist, you are definitely not safe in Gaza right now. But also just the fact that, like, you got in to begin with, that's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like you got in risking like the good graces of like Israel right now. That's kind of bad. They're kind of famously they're a little unhinged right now.
That's good journalism though.
Dare I say no? It's insane journalism. But anyway, she was allowed access into a field hospital in southern Gaza that was set up inside a soccer stadium and sponsored by the UAE. I would imagine somehow she was able to get in like because of the UAE, because doctors, volunteers had come into Gaza from them, because UAE and Israel have normalized relations, so they let them set up a little field hospital in a soccer stadium. But I have no idea, and I'm sure she cannot say how she got in there.
No.
And I would not pressure her to, because I wouldn't want anything bad to happen. But anyway, during her time touring this facility, she wrote an article. The article was titled "Looking into the Eyes of an Orphan in Gaza."
That's crazy.
Already pretty nuts for CNN at this point, and I feel like this signals a massive pivot away from how not even Western, but American media has been covering this conflict.
Yeah, this is, I mean, this, like, we already know, the listeners already know how bad it is in Gaza. This is for, like, the normies, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
This is for the Gen Xers, the boomers.
Yeah, this is for people who actually watch, like, establishment media and form opinions based on that, who have honestly never been exposed to the issue from the Palestinian side of it.
Yeah.
Finally getting access into this war-torn area, this genocide that's going on.
Especially because organizations like CNN, MSNBC will often just play both sides.
Yeah.
They'll like, and it's like, it's the kind of neutrality that favors oppression, right? Like, if you're just covering something neutrally, saying this is what Israel's doing, this is what they're claiming, this is what Hamas has done, this is what they claim, then you are kind of glossing over the inherent inequality between the two groups and the differences in power. But her going and doing this, specifically highlighting what the conditions are like for people in Gaza, specifically what hospitals are like for people in Gaza right now, is a little bit more revealing of what's actually happening. It's more honest.
And like in the article she gives pretty detailed accounts of a couple, she gives a couple anecdotes, dare I say, of a couple victims of Israel's indiscriminate bombing. And she starts off, she meets a young boy named Amir who was orphaned in one of Israel's many strikes, a young 8-year-old girl whose skull and leg were broken. Skull and leg were broken when her home was bombed, and a 20-year-old engineering student whose family followed the IDF's orders to flee northern Gaza, only to lose her leg after the place she went to seek shelter at was bombed. I'm assuming this is a place in southern Gaza because, again, as we all know, and as CNN goes ahead and reports and lets us know in great detail, Israel's told everyone to flee to the south, then started bombing the south. Kind of nuts out here.
Yeah, no, war crimes. You can't tell people to go a place, then bomb a place.
And
it's not a thing.
I think it got to the point where Israel's saying, no, this one spot, like in the middle of the desert, like that's where you'll be safe at because nothing is there.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's just, like, people just aren't going to go there.
Yeah, this one spot that human life cannot possibly be sustained at, that's where you can be safe. And then we can't kill you there. Something else can, though.
Oh, yeah, because there's no Hamas tunnels, so we don't need to bomb anything.
Exactly. But Clarissa Ward also recounted a conversation she had with one of the volunteers at the hospital where he talked about a patient who came in with a head wound with worms spilling out of it.
Jesus.
Worms spilling out of it.
Horrible.
And it's like just these images that she's conjuring up in here. Such a radical departure from the narrative that we've been seeing these past 8 weeks by pretty much any establishment media outlet. No one is going out here and using imagery like this.
Have you seen any of like IDF propaganda response to any of this?
I haven't. No, I just saw this came out 3 days ago.
I haven't either, but like previously and in previous conflicts when stuff like this comes out, they're usually like, oh, those are probably paid actors by Hamas or something like that.
Oh, they do the Hollywood stuff. That was happening. That was happening like 6 weeks ago. I saw some videos from, I think it was a Lebanese movie, but obviously, you know, all brown people are the same, right?
Of course.
And it was a Lebanese like war movie or something like that. I'm probably getting the country wrong, but either way, it was a movie where that featured like a war movie, and it was a video of like a young girl being dressed up in makeup because again, war movie to make it look like she was injured, and they're like, no, this is Palestine right now. This is a video from Palestine. Look at all these fake victims. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's the same caliber of like moon landing was fake type shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you just found a picture and you're just relying on us not literally being there to like prove you wrong firsthand.
And you're also like that, and just critically thinking a little bit. Like, guys, come on now. The world's a big place.
Yeah,
the world's a pretty big place. But anyway, just speaking to the radical departure that is, first we just get unprecedented access that CNN was somehow able to get. Again, somehow, we literally have no idea.
Yeah.
And then we have incredibly powerful anecdotes that she's putting forth that, like, again, boomers, Gen X, people who watch establishment media aren't privy to and have never seen before. Like, these are the type of, like, you don't invoke images of a dude with a head wound from a indiscriminate bomb dropping on him with worms spilling out just to kind of report on something. You obviously do that to create a narrative.
Yeah.
And it's crazy seeing CNN do that. Like,
yeah, and CNN is like, when we say the fourth estate, people usually say like all of journalism. That's just CNN. Yeah, like CNN. I think some people have been like, CNN is an extension of the State Department, and I like, to an extent that's true. And if CNN, like the CNN, moderate, centrist leaning CNN at this point, is reporting on the conflict like this, huge exposes like this, gotta wonder how it's impacting like those moderate Democrats who typically rely on mainstream news to at least provide some cover for them politically.
Yeah. Like the pressure has got to be boiling in the White House. I hope this signals that there will be a shift in how Biden responds and how the White House responds. God damn, for fucking his sake and mine. You know what I mean?
For me, more importantly.
Exactly. But I don't know.
No, it's untenable. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, even continuing with the story, one of the things that makes me think that Israel definitely did not know she was there was the fact that she said, quote, within 15 minutes of CNN arriving, there's a loud crack of a nearby airstrike. The doctors didn't even flinch. That is real life, said Al-Nakbi, adding that they hear at least 20 strikes a day. I think we got used to it, end quote.
Jesus, getting used to it is crazy.
Insane. And the fact that this reporter is just right there, bombs going off all around
Well,
her.
yeah, no, that's why I said it was brave, because as you said before we started recording the show, if Israel would have known, they wouldn't have dropped bombs anywhere near her. Because that just looks bad for them, because it's a reporter that has access to the outside world, doesn't want everyone to know that, like, I could have died by the hands of Israel. But the fact that they didn't know she was there, she could have got killed by bombs, and the fact that he's just saying, oh yeah, we got used to it, that's crazy.
Like, you're not phased by airstrikes, dog, come the fuck on. Come the fuck on. But then she continues. Like, that's not where it ends, folks. In the next section, titled, quote, notes smeared with blood, she talks about the aftermath of the bombing that she just heard. The aftermath of the bombing that she heard 15 minutes after arriving there, mentioning that they have no idea whether it was a Hamas target or a civilian home or business. Again, massive step for CNN.
The fact that could just be up in the air.
We have no idea whether or not this was the terrorist organization that Israel claims to be trying to annihilate and that they're only hitting them, or it could have just been like a bakery or some shit. Like,
it could have been a civilian home.
Or it could have been like another 8-year-old who was just orphaned.
It could have been a family business that's existed for 200 years.
Exactly.
Gone.
And I mean, I think we have some data, or at least a personal account from a journalist that is some pretty good evidence that this probably wasn't a Hamas target. She then says that soon after, the medics got a call that they were about to receive 2 amputees. And when they got to the receiving area, paramedics handed them a note smeared with blood about what they did to treat a man and a 13-year-old boy on their way to the makeshift hospital in a soccer stadium, not a real hospital. Those are pretty much gone in Gaza, it seems like.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's crazy. I got to wonder, like, what the... First, I wonder if she volunteered to go, or if CNN was like, we need someone to go. You're going to do it?
Like, there's no way CNN, like, was like, we need someone to do this.
Maybe it was her.
Or do you think she needed, like, an institutional connection to be able to... like meet I would guess that she went in with the UAE, but
yeah, maybe that was it. But I also wonder, like, did somebody tell her, you don't know what it's like in Gaza, why don't you go there if you think it's so great? And then she was like, all right, bet.
For sure.
she pulled up his like, look,
my flight.
And then she said, looking into the eyes of an orphan in Gaza. That's, I don't know. It's just, I'm astonished by the bravery here. I personally will talk all my shit. We'll say Israel shouldn't be an ethno state. We'll say Biden should do X, Y, and Z to get this to stop, but I'm never going to go there.
Real as hell.
I'm never going to go there.
You're real for that. You're real for that.
I'm a coward. Like, I'll admit it. No chance. Active war zone, no chance.
And it's also just back to this article, even outside of her personal experience as a undercover journalist in the Gaza Strip right now. She then, in her article that they posted on CNN's website, shared a graphic from CUNY Graduate Center and Oregon State University that showed satellite analyses of all of the areas within Gaza that the IDF has destroyed over the last 8 weeks. Notably, the IDF continues to ramp up bombings in the south despite claims that civilians can be safe there. The analysis showed that 33 to 42% of all structures in the entirety of Gaza are now damaged, with that number sure to rise as Israel continues their onslaught. And in the graphic they posted, it was 8 pictures of the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip was blacked out, and areas that were hit with bombs were highlighted in orange. And it showed you the progression of sites that had been hit by the IDF over 8 weeks. So you could see everywhere on this map that had been hit, and I feel like that's, again, crazy for CNN to post.
You also have to keep in mind that even if this conflict like ended tomorrow, and people started to go back to northern Gaza, you can't just like go back to living in structures that are even partially damaged. You don't know when they're gonna collapse.
Exactly.
Or when the roof's gonna fall in on your head.
Houses, apartment complexes in Miami-Dade, Florida collapse. You have no idea what's gonna happen when you return to what was once an active war zone.
Yeah, like even if I don't know, say just 10% of Gaza had been leveled, it will be leveled by the end of this conflict. There's gonna be untold structural damage in tons of different buildings, and you can't just go, like, you have to restart. You can't just go back to living in those or working in those or whatever it may be, because you don't know when it's going to collapse and kill everybody in there.
Exactly.
Because you don't know the damage that these bombs have really done.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking to that, CNN then reports in this same article that nearly all of Gaza's 2 million residents have been forced from their homes. That's 2 million people just displaced right now.
That's a genocide. Or at the very least, ethnic cleansing.
Nothing else to call it. Like, it's ridiculous. And Ward then ends her coverage. She ends the article with a quote from the 20-year-old engineering student that lost her leg, saying, quote, "The world isn't listening to us. Nobody cares about us. We have been dying for over 60 days, dying from the bombing, and nobody did anything." If this isn't going to put massive pressure on the Democrats and the DNC right now to change up how they're handling the situation, I don't know what is going to. I hope this isn't just a one-off by CNN.
Yeah. I mean, if they don't switch it up, I mean, it feels like Democrats just want to lose at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
You know
oh, my God.
Like they're not even trying.
If they look at the massive public pressure that's going on, and now I guess what I hope is signaling institutional pressure from places like, goddamn, fucking CNN. Like, do I need to really say more other than CNN switching up and, I don't know, bucking the trend and becoming more progressive on an issue?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
It's not unprecedented for presidents to be pressured out of supporting a war or a conflict or an authoritarian state, right?
It's happened before. LBJ?
Yeah, well, Vietnam? I mean, he tried to end the Vietnam War, then Henry Kissinger fucked it up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
so Nixon and Henry ramped it up even more.
Yeah, like these things can work. I don't think that Biden is entirely intransigent, but I think his strategy has been, some people have called it the hug Bibi strategy, where he's, kind to him in public, doesn't criticize him in public, and works behind the scenes in massive fucking air quotes. But I'm not convinced that much is happening, other than him saying, like, hey, you should maybe cool it. And Bibi's like, no, I'm not going to.
Hey, you should maybe cool it. And it's like, I think the Bibi claiming that he wants absolute victory in Gaza came after Biden at a donor conference said, yeah, they're kind of doing indiscriminate bombing right now. Like, he was mad. Yeah. He was mad, and that's how Israel responded.
And we got to talk about this. Biden, there was some Hanukkah event because Hanukkah just started, and Biden was there talking to people. I don't know what organization it was for, but he was talking to people, and he said if Israel didn't exist, there would be no place that is safe for Jews in the world, which is unbelievably stupid. First of all, you're just admitting like you are not safe in the United States.
He said Jews do not come to the U.S.
Entirely offensive to his own country. And then second, I don't think they're very safe in Israel. They're always talking about how we are surrounded by enemies.
We are constantly surrounded. We live under threat. Hamas constantly launching rockets at us. We need the Iron Dome to protect us, or we'll all be killed in an instant.
No, it's really fucking dumb. Even if the U.S. Obviously anti-Semitic hate crime is still a major problem in the U.S. U.S. has always had a problem with anti-Semitism. But even if we were like a bad place for Jewish people to live, why not make the U.S. a better place? Why does it have to be an ethno-state? Why can't it be? Maybe this is woke, but why can't it be like a multicultural country that respects everybody?
Oh fuck, dude, that's kind of a radical idea. I don't know. I don't know if that can happen. But
it's just like gotta be. Oh, it's so dumb. I can't believe he said that.
You did not have to bite the propaganda that hard.
No.
Another fucking trend that Biden just cannot buck. First he comes out and lies about 40 babies being beheaded, and then he does this. Like, dog, shut the fuck up. Yeah. His handlers really need to get on it.
They need to pump him full of whatever drug he was taking before the 2022 midterms.
Exactly.
Like Adderall or whatever he was hyped up on.
Whatever stimulant he had in him when he was doing those debates. God, fuck, man, please.
Well, during the 2020 debates, or when he was doing that like speech on democracy that pissed everybody off when he called Republicans fascists, like, give him that shit again and get him out saying that kind of stuff, and maybe he'll be like, maybe Palestinians do deserve their own state.
It's just like let's just be good about an issue for once, please.
Oh my
let's
God.
just please be good about the issue of oh my God, whatever.
Yeah, no, he's bit the Zionist propaganda, and so is John Fetterman.
Oh my God, dude, he's going so hard at it.
He just came out recently saying, I'm
He did
not a
another
progressive.
thing?
Yeah. Oh, he said, I'm not a progressive.
Why I left the left.
Well, he ran as a progressive. He said himself when he was running in Pennsylvania, I'm a progressive. And then recently he did some interview, I'm guessing about Israel, where he said, oh, I'm not a progressive.
At all.
He just straight up said it, which is like, all right, bruh. Don't get me wrong, better than having a Republican in that seat.
Yeah.
Things have passed because John Fetterman sits in that seat, but come on, man. What are we doing?
What a crazy way to lose your next fucking election.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely turn your back on everyone.
Now I want someone to primary him.
God
and I want the dress code in place.
As I was just about to say, put this man in a fucking suit or don't.
Yeah.
You
If
know what?
You can't dress yourself. You should not be in the Senate.
You know how people always say that like Paul McCartney really died in a car crash in like 2005 and he's been replaced by a clone? Maybe when he had that stroke.
Wait a minute. Yeah, maybe it is a clone. I'm biting into it now because like fuck him. What are you doing, dog?
No, fuck him. That's crazy. Yeah, you know what? Maybe when John Fetterman had that stroke, he was replaced.
No, yeah. Unfortunately, he's not going to face a primary challenge until what,
24? Oh, that's what 28 because he was
senators.
elected 20. Oh my God.
So he's going to be there a while. But at the very least, he'll vote in favor of other good things. But still, it's better than a Republican, but still awful to see.
Exactly. Common trend.
Yeah.
Common trend. Jesus Christ. Why I left the left, bro?
That's what I'm saying.
Shit's going to be me. Shit's going to be me in like 2 years.
Yeah. Does that wrap up our coverage of Gaza?
I think so. Summary, shit is very bad and getting worse.
Very bad, getting worse. Kind of the trend that we've been talking about for a while. Israel killing their own people.
Oh my God. A blunder of a century.
Not good. Biden and John Fetterman just holding hands, running around Tel Aviv. Smiling gleefully,
skipping through Jerusalem, East Jerusalem to be specific.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's bad out here. We can move on to some good news, though.
Is Fetterman going on a visit to Israel, or has he already? I would come on, like I wouldn't be at this rate. He's like staking his entire legislative career on this issue.
I think some like
Chuck
leaders,
Schumer and a couple people already did. I don't know if he was a part of that group though. Maybe he was jealous that he didn't get.
That's why he put on the flag.
He didn't get the vacation. That's how he put the flag on it. Put the hostage posters all around his office.
And then he left the left. I don't know. I really hope one piece of propaganda the IDF starts doing is having like celebrities come to like Israel.
Have Gal Gadot come back. Have Wonder Woman.
Or like Kai Cenat goes to Israel.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Get Gal Gadot, right?
Okay.
Get her. Have her. Have the IDF take her into a secure part of
Horrible
Florida.
actress. I always hated her.
I'm saying not a good Wonder Woman. The first Wonder Woman was fine. I think it's a little overrated, but whatever. I can say it now.
Yeah.
I can say it now. Take her. Get her in the Wonder Woman guard. Put her in northern Gaza, right? She's fighting Hamas.
New Wonder Woman movie filmed in Gaza.
It's like how after 9/11, Marvel Comics did that one special.
Yeah.
Where like Doctor Doom was crying after the towers fell.
And didn't like the heroes and villains team up to fight Al Qaeda in that canon?
I don't know,
Some
some
crazy
shit like that. Oh my God.
Oh man, that would be good propaganda. Come on. Why don't they hire us? At least, why don't they reach out to us and say like, "Hey, we need some help with this propaganda.
Guys,
we got ideas.
We're not doing good. Mm-hmm. They could bankroll me on the side. I could do it undercover. All I'm saying, if you notice the propaganda getting better,
I mean, I would reject it for moral reasons, but like if they offered enough money, I can make it good, funny, and consumable.
You know how they say that like conservatives always have loved to say that like money doesn't buy happiness. Oh my God, like you just because you have $5 million doesn't mean you'll be happy. Yeah. And it's like a fucking lie. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking lie is what I'm saying.
Happy. Can actually buy me salvation. In fact,
and studies have said like actually up until a certain amount of money, like that's when you'll be happy.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
I'm just saying, reach out. Email's open. Moving on to some better news, though, we got to talk about something we haven't talked about in a while. General theme, Democrats trying to do a good thing. That likely won't work because, Congress, but they're trying to do a good thing, and I figured we could cover it on the show. So we all know that buying a home without selling your soul and both arms is basically impossible at this point, especially for younger generations. Just for some context, the last few years have been especially rough, with home prices jumping 38% since 2019.
38?
According to Business Insider.
That is untenable.
38% jump in, 4 years, so pretty insane. Mortgages have also been increasing beyond sustainable levels, too. It's not just home prices, by the way, although we're focusing on homes here. Rent prices have also been increasing pretty astronomically. And all the figures we're going to cite, all the phenomena that we're going to talk about also apply to rental properties. And renting's becoming more of an issue, as we'll lay out. Yeah, you're telling us.
Yeah, renting is certainly an issue.
Now, the layman would blame Joe Biden, right? Because correlation equals causation. Joe Biden came into office after 2020.
Everything that happens in the 4 years that a president is in office is a response, is because of that president.
Well, exactly. And Joe Biden came in, not only did he press the gas up button, but he pressed the housing cost button.
Right now, he's pressing the gas down button, though. And I got to say, props to him. It's like $30 to fill up. Oh, my God.
Those strategic oil reserves kicked in. Yeah, I saw under 3 when I was driving here. I was
$2.96? Can you believe that?
And it's more expensive here usually than it is back where I live.
Yeah.
So I gotta wonder how costs look back home.
Oh, true.
I don't know.
See, now here it's even a little cheaper than where I moved to recently. Oh my God, it's like 10 cents cheaper. Oh, insane, bruh.
All I can say, those Biden bucks are kicking in.
Exactly, but I am traumatized by the beginning of Biden's presidency. You best believe I still fuck my car with that nozzle just to get every last drop out.
And I'm voting for Trump.
I'm getting my money's worth.
Because gas prices were low under Donald Trump.
Price of a barrel of oil was negative when Trump was in office. That's
and there was no
say.
Problems with that at all. Anyways, the housing cost trend that we've been seeing is caused by a couple of things. Obviously, the pandemic exacerbated this. It set a lot of this into motion. Supply's been low, which increases costs because construction slowed down for the pandemic. But also, and this is a trend I just learned about, since the end of the Great Recession, housing has been increasingly owned by Wall Street firms, hedge funds, and private equity. Following the Great Recession, when housing prices went crazy, then they dropped precipitously. A lot of hedge funds, private equity, and rich organizations just bought up a bunch of homes.
Oh, that's so sick. So they used the money that they got from being bailed out to then go and buy the house that you have to rent with your family.
They caused the problem by doing all kinds of complicated things. I forgot that
they caused the problem too.
And then they went and bought up all the properties, and so there's sort of a monopoly going on.
If we can't invest in these toxic mortgage-backed securities or whatever the fuck it was, we'll just invest in the mortgage itself.
And they're like rich firms like hedge funds, etc., are not the only problem here. There's also like individual owners or smaller businesses that own properties. Like the individual landlords are also demons.
Oh yeah, like
and they're also part of the
fucking
problem.
Robert Kurosawa going on TikTok talking about, I have 75,000 houses.
Yeah, I would kick out a single mother. I have to apply the rules fairly. So the data on home ownership overall in the U.S. is pretty mixed, though. The census says that home ownership has gone up in recent years, but other analysts have claimed that the way in which home ownership is counted actually inflates the number of people that own homes.
Oh, cool.
And it's actually been trending downward since the 1970s, which to me, based on the data available, seems a bit more believable. As prices go up, less people can buy a home. That makes sense to me. But again, it's inconclusive. Smarter people than me can probably do the math. Either way, though, we know it's harder to buy a home because rich people keep buying them up, and they are incentivized to do two things. One, either just hold on to the property before selling it, because if you hold on to it longer, market prices continue to inflate as supply is constricted, which means you could maybe get greater profit in the future, which makes it basically a speculative asset, which is bad. Or two, they just rent, because you can get more money as a leech or landlord. Derogatory.
It's also crazy how these type of guys, I don't know if you spend a lot of time on hate watching finance bro content, but it's always these arrogant 32-year-old low millionaires who are the best thing to do to get wealth for yourself, go make sure you buy 3 properties by the time you're 25.
Dog, I can't afford to rent one.
That's what I'm saying. It's renting one is half my fucking income.
Yeah.
I a whole paycheck out the door once rent happens.
Do you remember in high school accounting class or financing class or whatever it was, they were generally rent should be 30-40% of your income. Dog, that shit's 60, 70.
That's what I'm saying.
Where are you getting an apartment? apartment for that much.
An entire paycheck, bi-weekly paycheck, might I add.
We're talking, once we add up like groceries, gas costs, phone bills, car expenses, the rent that you have to pay. We're supposed to have disposable income to keep the economy going. What are we talking about?
Here? What's going on here?
And you're telling me it's my fault because I bought a Starbucks or avocado toast one time?
And it's funny because I was looking at budgeting so I could make sure my shit's right, so I can actually have money to live, make sure I have enough money to live without going into massive debt. And a lot of those articles have been like, but if you can't afford 30% for rent, here's an option for 50 where you put nothing in savings. Here's an option for 50 where you
have no future whatsoever.
Do nothing fun.
And then you get blamed for not owning any stock or something like that. What are we talking about?
It's my fault because I'm not taking the extra $100 I have left over every month and saving that all year to have $1,200 at the end of the year that can be used as 1/20th of a house payment. So after 20 years, maybe I'll be able to put a down payment on my house.
Oh, maybe then you can start a family if you're not a fucking lazy liberal.
If I do literally nothing fucking fun at all whatsoever.
Call me a woke crazy socialist or whatever. I need housing to live. Shouldn't have to pay for it.
I'm saying.
Should just be a thing that you get. We have the resources to do it. More empty houses in this country than homeless people. Anyways, moving on to the real core of the story here. So I just laid out the problem.
Yep.
They're incentivized to hold on to properties or rent, so they're not incentivized to sell or actually get people into houses that need the houses. So in response, we have two Democrat-backed bills, one in the House and one in the Senate, that aim to tackle the problem, so to speak. So a headline from Business Insider, they said, quote, Democrats want to kick big investors out of the housing market to improve affordability. Sounds pretty good to me.
Sounds fantastic.
From this article, it says, quote, in the Senate, the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act of 2023 would force big investors to sell off all single-family homes they own over a period of 10 years and eventually ban hedge funds from owning any single-family homes entirely. The article also noted that it's not just targeting hedge funds as an entity under the IRS tax code or something like that.
Yep.
It's just any entity with more than $50 million in assets. So just any rich organizations can't, if this bill were to pass, wouldn't be able to own family homes.
It'd actually be sick if it was just anything with over $50 million in assets. So if you have more money than that, you cannot have a home.
Yeah, you can't live.
You cannot live in a home. Give it away. Give it to me.
Yeah. Also, this is a quote about the House bill. Quote, Democrats in the House proposed a separate bill that would discourage Wall Street's involvement in the housing market by charging investors who own more than 75 homes an annual fee of $10,000 per home.
Sick.
The money would be pooled into a housing trust fund to be used to support families with down payments. $100,000 per home just for those organizations probably wouldn't generate a ton of money. But this is the classic legislating trick of charge the people causing the problem to create a fund that you can use to solve the problem. Which is a forgotten art, I guess.
I'm so pro taking money away from the people who are doing the bad things to help alleviate the stress caused by people who are victims of those bad things. And I think that everyone should be. Also, let's pump that number down.
Yeah.
Let's pump that number down to if you own more than 5 homes.
5, yeah.
If you, because who fucking owns 5 homes?
If you own more than 2, who needs 2?
That's what I'm saying. Sure, maybe you can have a cabin up north. Sure, maybe I'll allow that one. If you own more than 2 or 3 homes, and one of them is just sitting vacant, bro,
you can't
for
live
a whole year.
You're living in 1, maybe 2. If you got the cabin up north, fucking whatever. You're not living in more than 3. What are you doing with the third?
That's what I'm saying.
You're not,
a fourth and fifth, ridiculous.
Someone else could be living there. Call me a communist, I guess. My problem here, though,
call me Mao.
Yeah, you might have noticed as I read those quotes that these pieces of legislation only apply to family homes.
Yeah.
This is an issue that afflicts apartments as well. A lot of apartments just sit vacant as they wait to be able to charge people higher rent as the market price increases. I see the cultural and optical appeal, American family or the American dream, starting your family, white picket fence, 2.5 kids, whatever. But I feel like this bill, if it were to really aim to help working class people, would also just target any property that's that should be sold to live in, or that should be rented to live in. These rules should apply to anybody that's holding property in that way.
Oh, absolutely. It's you look at these massive fucking these massive firms that own 1 billion apartment complexes across the country that not subsidized, but what a pyramid scheme type shit that give the work out to 1 billion different rental management firms.
Yeah. That's what happened with me.
I'm pretty sure that's that's what happens with me too.
Yeah, same company owns like my entire block.
Why?
Like the like 3 streets around
like
me.
Why
too.
is that allowed?
I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous.
And then they can just make rent whatever they want.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no competition. And like my favorite president says, capitalism without competition, that's not capitalism.
My favorite Marxist scholar. I also think, and this is an idea that's already been proposed by other people, so I'm stealing this. I also think that the bill should just introduce a vacancy tax.
Hey man, great artists steal.
Yeah, exactly. The vacancy tax would just be like, if you let a property sit empty for more than a year, you have to pay like 70% or 80% of the value of the property to the government.
More than reasonable.
Yeah.
More than fucking reasonable.
So,
if you got a summer home, you're going to it in the summer. That fits in our 2-3 home model.
Well, no, and it's like if you're trying to sell property or rent out property, you can't just sit on it and wait for prices to increase.
Yeah.
You can't just sit on it and wait till you can rent it to somebody. You got to get rid of it, or you're just straight up losing money to the government. And then that money can go to fund homelessness projects or reduce, subsidize family homes or whatever the government wants to do with it. But I feel like that's more than reasonable. Other countries have done this and seen great success. I don't know if it was the UK or some other country in Europe did this, and they saw rent prices just drop dramatically because
So cool.
they got to start selling lower to get it out of their hands. Otherwise, they're going to be taxed an insane amount and not make any money off the property they're holding.
I would love if my rent price dropped dramatically.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I'm going to say. And I cannot wait in the coming weeks to see conservatives get up in arms about this, because like how do you position yourself against this optically? No, dude, hedge funds, which aren't entities that need to live anywhere, should totally be able to buy single family homes that one family would be living in to support themselves. No, guys, come on, they should be able to own these.
Yeah, I also think, as we kind of already said, it should target smaller management companies too and individual landlords, because they're nightmares. But realistically, if we got to start somewhere, targeting the rich is the way to go. And I would hope that if the rich are kind of feeling the squeeze of the federal government, then prices would be driven down across the board.
Well, because
to be competitive.
This would be such an optical dub, because like even conservatives position themselves against Blackrock and Vanguard. Look at the 4th GOP debate when everyone was railing against Nikki Haley. Like, are they really going to come back and say no? They Blackrock should be able to own your whole neighborhood.
Yeah,
like, you come on, like. It's gotta pass.
It hasn't been held for a vote just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't pass because the Senate filibuster and Republicans are evil in the House. It might just be that like Speaker Mike Johnson doesn't even put it up for a vote. They just completely ignore it. But yeah, you would think if conservatives care about helping the American family, they want to see more people make more families. They're against abortion, right? You would think that if they actually care about those things, then they would want to get people in homes, which means you got to drive down the costs, which means you don't want people just having monopolies on entire neighborhoods.
But then it's people just don't. I forgot that people just don't want to work hard anymore.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to work anymore.
Nobody wants to work hard to save up to put a down payment on a house that's worth like fucking 30 million times more than what it was when I bought it off my high school diploma back in the 60s.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot nobody wants to work and everyone's fucking lazy. But America's the hardest working country in the planet, best country ever. But nobody here wants to work.
Nobody here wants to work. We're super hardworking. Bring back manufacturing, but like nobody would want to work those jobs. Is what I'm saying. Like nobody wants to fucking work anymore.
Anyways, a good piece of news from the Senate and the House. Hopefully this bill gets some traction or something. But you got my full support. And make it more dramatic. Make it much worse for people that own property.
That's what I'm saying. Like fucking bring the limit from 75 all the way down to like 3-4.
Like
3-4, and then we're in business, baby.
200% tax for vacancies.
And then I can say that I don't know, fucking some Democrat resurrected Mao. the embodiment of Mao right here.
Yeah, no, it would absolutely be huge. But moving on to some bad news.
Nothing. Two sides to every coin.
Moving on to some bad news out of Ohio. Godless place. Real just hell landscape. The K-lid of the country, really.
Hell yeah.
Bad place to be. We're talking about a story that's really our bread and butter.
Hell yeah.
It's not really it's on a topic that we haven't talked about extensively in a little while. It was much more popular in 2022, dare I say, kind of fell off.
Kind of fell off a little bit in these last couple of months. Like these last 3 months, like the issue fell off.
The issue fell off, but maybe it's making a comeback. Comeback kid.
Comeback kid.
Anti-trans comeback kid.
Baby. Comeback right at the end of the year. Maybe it'll slide its way into an award show.
We're talking about anti-trans legislation out of Ohio. So The Ohio State Legislature recently passed HB 68, a law that would make it illegal in the state for doctors to provide gender-affirming care to those under 18 and would prohibit trans girls from playing in girls' sports in the state. So really a double whammy.
Again, I love targeting like the two children that just want to enjoy a sport. That's a really cool thing to do legislatively. It's a really good look for you, I'm going to assume, an adult man beefing with a little girl.
Yeah, well, it's actually not two. They did the math. It's 6. The bill would affect 6 athletes, trans girls in the state.
We have what is it, like almost the entire Ohio legislature just fucking beefing with 6 little girls.
Yes. And again, on the topic of trans girls participating in girls' sports in high school, I don't know how they would check. Ohio doesn't have a good track record in this regard.
That's
if
true.
you recall, a year and a half ago, and I'm not exaggerating,
Jim Jordan?
There was a bill for mandatory penis inspections.
That's right.
In the state of Ohio. I don't know that ever passed, but given their intent from before, I hope that didn't make its way into this bill.
Well, also, didn't Jim Jordan have
Ohio
like a
State
thing going on with Ohio State? Yeah, all I'm saying.
Yes. Well, he ignored sexual abuse in that case. But yeah, Ohio, education, very bad.
And it's also like we're making it illegal for doctors to provide gender-affirming care to those under 18, just like carte blanche, just like straight up, every single bit of it.
I can get into it right here.
What happened to parental rights?
The ban on gender-affirming care includes puberty blockers and hormone therapy, but it also bans gender transition surgery. But as Democrats in Ohio have already noted, there aren't any gender transition surgeries for those under 18 in the state of Ohio because Ohio children's hospitals don't do it.
We're beefing with 6 real real little women, but also we're beefing with the fake women that we're making up in our head. So cool.
Yeah.
Dude.
So surgeries aren't happening for the people that they're making this legislation for. Also, of course, gender affirming care is supported by every major medical organization in the country. We don't really need to source the data on that one. You can look it up for yourself if you really want to. But on top of all of that, as I mentioned last spring, the Ohio Capitol Journal reported that there were 6 trans girl athletes in the state. And from the same source, they said, quote, if a trans girl wants to play on a team with cis girls in Ohio, she must go through hormone treatments for at least 1 year or show no physical or physiological advantages. That's according to the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Sounds
so it's
like
already
we got
in
it
place.
covered.
Yeah.
Sounds like the issue has been entirely thought through and worked through and figured out.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, that's 1 year of high school. That's a quarter of it.
That's a lot.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
a
formative
quarter.
Years.
That's a quarter of all of high school. They already got it completely covered. A lot of people have been protesting this bill. It's not signed into law yet. It's heading to the governor's desk at the moment. Some people think he might veto it. It's a Republican in office there, so who knows? But it's another example of Republicans, when they get in power, specifically in state legislatures, using their power to just target trans people for no fucking reason.
Man,
absolutely insane.
What a time.
Yeah.
What a time.
The cruelty is the point.
Be alive.
Yeah.
Especially for the 6 little girls that are now beefing with the legislature. That's insane.
Yeah,
That's insane.
6 trans girls that play sports in the state. Like, it's crazy because gender affirming care is already very rarely used. There's very few trans people in this country, 1% of the country, right? Even fewer of them are under 18. Even fewer of them are trans girls. Even fewer of them are participating in sports. Even fewer of them are in the state of Ohio. And that's the issue that gets legislation. Not like the fleeing industry in Ohio or the industry that's already left Ohio. Like, you're beefing with trans people. Come on, dog.
6 of them?
Yeah.
6 of them?
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's
grown-ass men.
Grown-ass men. Awful story out of Ohio that and I hope that legislation does not pass. If you're in Ohio, get out and flee to the north. Come to Michigan. Become a Michigander.
It's fucking communist utopia up here.
Great Lake State.
That's right. Fresh water.
Yeah.
Largest freshwater bodies in the world. You know, when the world collapses, you're going to wish you were here.
Before we head out for this beautiful podcast episode, we could talk real quickly about the Biden impeachment.
Serious news.
Very serious news. Some news that probably won't matter very much. Or maybe it will matter. Maybe it'll get a lot of attention. I don't fucking know.
It matters probably just as much as Ohio banning minor transition surgeries when they didn't fucking happen anyway.
Yeah, exactly. The House recently voted to formally open an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. It was a party line vote. All Democrats voted against. All Republicans voted for. The impeachment is allegedly in regards to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, of course, and Hunter Biden benefiting financially off of Joe when he was the VP. However, charges have not been announced. You may recall when Trump was getting impeached, there were like specific charges, whether they be I actually can't. What charge was labeled for the January 6th stuff?
Oh, I don't remember. I just know
like
the first time it was quid pro quo.
Yeah. There were specific charges that Trump got hit with, specific articles of impeachment. Here, though, we don't have specific charges. It's just Hunter Biden.
God, bro. And it's also like, if we want to go after somebody for financially benefiting off their dad, or dare I say dad-in-law being financially benefited from their father's time in office, I think we'd have to look at Mr. Kushner,
Mr. Peace in the Middle East,
Mr. Peace in the Middle East, and the $2 billion he got from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, someone got a chill little $2 billion.
calm little $2 billion from the calm little world's leading state sponsor of terrorism.
But no, we're investigating Hunter Biden. Of course, there have been a bunch of hearings on the Hunter Biden fiasco already. There's been no evidence produced.
They were going after him for gun charges, right? Gun charges when he had a felony. That's a way to alienate your base right there.
Oh, and to me, that's just an American right.
That's what I'm saying.
To have a gun regardless of what the law says?
Come on.
What are we talking about? Again, it seems like Hunter Biden, if he did do anything bad, was promising government officials from other countries or other companies access to Joe Biden, but it seems like that access never really occurred.
I think it would be so cool if Hunter Biden was going around to foreign diplomats and asking for money and saying, I will give you access to Joe Biden or fucking Secretary Hillary Clinton or anyone else if you just give me $50,000. It just never did it.
Yeah.
Because it looks like he just didn't do it. Nothing substantive has come out. But if he was just running around lying about that to get
and then he went and fucked.
That's so. And then he blew that money on hookers and blow.
Yeah,
come on, man.
That's the American dream.
He's a hero.
Yeah, he's a modern day Robin Hood.
He's going to China of all places. They love to use China as our number one enemy, like ever of all time, and stealing money from like Chinese businesses. What about all the IP they steal from us, huh?
Maybe it was an elaborate case of espionage. Maybe he's the world's greatest spy.
That's what I'm saying. This is get back. Get back.
This is exactly what we've always wanted, and I don't really understand why Republicans are mad about it. And you know, if this news story and the news story that opened the show prove anything, Democrats fuck. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
They get it.
A good way to bookend the episode.
I don't think there's like any real reason to talk about the details here again. We've talked about Hunter Biden a bunch before. We talked about the allegations against Joe Biden a bunch before. But there's no formal charges. There's nothing really to discuss. It seems like this will move forward. The House just went into recess for the winter break.
Because they get like fucking every day off.
Yeah, they get more days off than like any American that works or goes to school or anything, which is crazy.
Okay, Virginia Fox.
And you're calling me lazy. Uh-huh. You got half the fucking year off.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, it seems like if Republicans stay unified, we might get an impeachment of Joe Biden, which would be super cool.
I hope that every president going forward gets party line impeached.
Oh, yeah.
Like just at bare minimum, just like every single new one.
And that's the only way they like can revive Donald Trump's image in that regard. You know what I mean? They just have to make a mockery.
Well, Joe Biden got impeached too.
Yeah. And then Joe Biden can be like, only once, Jack. And then nothing means anything.
I hope they just keep going and they try to bring up the numbers like way higher too. Like, no, we're gonna impeach Joe Biden 3 times.
Yeah, no, actually, Donald Trump's not the most impeached. Joe Biden is. Come on, that would be great. That's exactly what cool. I want. Before we leave this episode, just a couple of extra news bits that we should talk about. In the news recently has been the fact that SCOTUS will be hearing a case regarding the abortion pill mifepristone pretty soon.
They don't have a good track record.
They don't. The reason this wasn't like a main section of the episode today is because we're not going to get a decision until the summer. So we'll have another hot SCOTUS summer once again.
Oh, man.
Hot like hell, that is, because everything was bad last time around. But basically, the thing here is SCOTUS is considering mifepristone, the drug that's used as the abortion pill, but importantly, other medical things that people need. Right now, it can be used and accessed, of course. The FDA released some guidelines, I think in 2016, which made it so you could get mifepristone from 7 to 10 weeks of pregnancy, and they allowed it to be mailed. And it seems like that is being challenged because a lot of GOP states have implemented restrictions to mifepristone because it could be used for abortions. And they don't allow abortions anymore. And the fundamental question that SCOTUS will be deciding on here basically is, one, can mifepristone, can the regulations that the FDA announced in 2016 still apply? And two, more broadly, does the Food and Drug Administration have the right to regulate food and drugs? Seems like that's the question.
Maybe this will go the same way of the EPA.
Yeah, it seems like the decision here is really about if the FDA can do its job, because GOP states want to further regulate a drug that the FDA has already issued regulations for, expanded regulations. So there's a tension there. That's where the lawsuit comes from. And if the FDA loses this case, or I think it's technically just like the Biden administration loses this case, that's bad.
All I'm saying is the track record for cases like this where states or some organization is challenging the authority of these like, what is it, like an auxiliary governmental organization?
It's an agency, yeah.
Like an agency within the government. Things have not gone well. We covered, was it like 2 years ago at this point, an EPA decision where SCOTUS ruled that the EPA can't regulate the environment.
Yeah, I think it was EPA versus West Virginia.
I think it had something to do with like coal and emissions and like waste and stuff. And they're like, nah, EPA, you can't do anything. That's putting an undue burden on something.
Yeah, I think as a part of the one of the big infrastructure packages that was passed under Biden, I think some of those powers were restored. I guess that could happen for the FDA if more legislation passes, but it would be bad and it would make abortion access even less available for people in red states.
It would also, most importantly, way more important than that, it would make anti-vaxxers more annoying. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If the FDA took another hit to credibility right now in this moment, it'd make anti-vaxxers way more annoying.
Yeah, it's like, again, the idea that the Food and Drug Administration can't regulate food and drugs, but rather politicians from individual states can. Exactly. That's kind of insane.
Know nothing about this. Know nothing about any of this.
Like the FDA has a bunch of processes for improving access, restricting access, approving drugs, whatever else it may be. State legislatures just do it based on politics.
And a bunch of people who have dedicated their lives to the study of these things and being and a bunch of universities and academic and private institutions that have also have people who have dedicated their lives to getting drugs FDA approved because it's a good standard to look for. But no, I think Ken Paxton should be able to do it.
Yeah, it's like, are there problems with how the FDA does stuff?
Yes.
Sure, right. Like, there's a massive problem of, like, fake supplements in this country that the FDA
doesn't regulate those.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, there are certainly problems you could point to, but I fail to see how the solution would be just allowing states to do whatever the fuck they want with even less evidence than the FDA has. Clearly, that is not what we should be doing. But SCOTUS might make that a reality.
That's so cool. Isn't there, in other kind of loose SCOTUS news, did we ever talk about Jack Smith and what, like, his recent appeal to SCOTUS?
I don't think so.
Did you hear about it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, fuck, I can't remember the details because it's not in the show notes, obviously, but it's something to do with Trump and his whole, like, being able to actually run for president thing. There's a federal case that's moving up. I think Trump's team is alleging, like, oh no, I got to be the ballot, and Jack Smith is like, no, you actually have to. See, he petitioned to SCOTUS to move up and find within their schedule time to, like, rush a hearing on this exact issue because it's going to be instrumental in whether or not Trump will actually be able to run for president in 2024. So that's an interesting one.
No doubt in my mind, SCOTUS will let him run.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no chance that they would set that precedent.
No, I don't even put 3 of them in there.
I don't even. Well, yeah, exactly. And I don't even know if I would want SCOTUS to, like, disqualify him from running. He's funny. And also, it might not be the best precedent to set, but, like, no chance that they're going to disqualify him from running. And last thing, a viewer messaged us about he had, I think it was Retromondo, had asked a question during the Q&A episode that we didn't get to about the USPS Postal Service. Apparently they're suffering a lot. Just asked our general take on it. I haven't seen a ton of news. I think that's kind of the point of the question, is that there hasn't been a ton of news about it. From what I know, this is Postmaster General, goofy ass title.
No, that's a cool title. Go on.
Louis DeJoy is a demon appointed by Trump. Biden never got rid of him.
Biden didn't switch him out? No. I thought that was one of the things that, like, people were hopeful for when Biden got his presidency, is that he was going to fix the Postal Service.
Really should have. I think it's just like an appointee. Maybe he's got some contract, like he can't, he's got like 6 years there or something.
I think there are some offices where it's like a president can't just get rid of you until you serve out your term. Okay.
That might be it. But either way, that guy's got to go. He's an absolute demon. And I also, this was claimed by one of our listeners, so I haven't verified it.
Okay.
But apparently the USPS has been just delivering Amazon packages. Which is so fucking cool. Like, our tax dollars are just doing the operations of a private company. I didn't pay taxes for that. What are we doing?
What do I pay for Prime for if the USPS is doing it?
This is going the opposite direction that I want it to. I want Amazon to be consumed by the Postal Service, not the Postal Service be consumed by Amazon. I think Amazon should just become a part of the U.S. Postal Service. It should be a subsidiary of, or
Amazon
like
should become fucking commerce.gov. It's the commerce website.
It should all be ran by the government. There's no reason that delivery services are ran by a private company. What are we talking about?
Golly, man.
But it seems like that's not going to happen. So
it's also like USPS is like fine.
Yeah.
There's rarely an instance where like going with USPS is going to get my package here in less time than in more time than going with like FedEx or UPS or something.
Yeah, no, I like the Postal Service, and apparently they're like some people have been reporting like slower service times. I'm guessing that the agency is just getting worse.
And it's like, okay, I'm fine with my package getting like a day later if we could just like act like FedEx and UPS.
Well, yeah, and it's probably related to like them having to deliver Amazon packages. You know, like it's not because the public institution itself doesn't work. It's because it's dealing with more private entities or doesn't have enough funding or whatever else.
Hasn't there been crazy like funding slashes for it like under Trump? Because I remember coming out of 2020, like a big thing was that Trump fucking gutted the USPS. Mm-hmm. So I'd imagine a lot of this
specifically before the election.
Yeah.
So they couldn't deliver absentee ballots. And I also think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Postal Service workers are allowed to strike anymore, are they?
Really?
Isn't that like a thing that's not allowed anymore? Because I think they did it before, and it was bad because like
nobody got
essential service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Huh.
They might be able to strike though. I know they've done it before, but I don't know if it's allowed anymore. It could be like a railroad situation.
Oh man.
But either way, go on strike.
Yeah.
Say we're not going to deliver any more Amazon packages, and you want to double our wages.
Yeah, just do it.
And we should update to an all Camaro fleet or some shit.
Hell yeah, an all Lamborghini fleet. Like how people saying like Dubai, like all the cops drive Lamborghinis. Fucking put my boys at the USPS in a Ferrari.
Dubai, shiny beacon of democracy.
Really good place to be, actually.
Anyways, that brings us to the end of the episode, and that means it's time to thank the people that make us a shining beacon of perfection in the political commentary space.
Perfection and great takes, and never having bad takes, importantly, and that means we have to give a special thanks to Caden Kraut, Lord Tal the Radiant, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, 40% Spite, Dylan B, Andrew Harris, Mike Chaplinsky, Mattias T, Omar Zuno, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Kaz, Caleb Joy, Rich Toro, Tari, Gavin Mayer Maldonado, Hunter W, Fergalaki, Max Vezquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Jeff Muzzy, Bagel Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cuts, Gregory Isn't My Name, Veryuk, Jennifer DeVoe, Big Bird Titty, Crawfish, Benneth Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Nietzsche, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Two-Headed Boy, Ben Shapiro's Boyfriend, Jonathan Cassis, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Tarlson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Sines, Aaron and His Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Aiden Taylor, Corey Chambers, Sewer Snack, Ellie N, John Glover, Devin Hatchard, Retromondo, Meatball Minion, Emma the Dude Slayer, Breezy B, Veronica aka V, Raccoon, Ash Smith, The Grotler, Magic Ian 95,
Flower Clown, Beetlebugs, Three Crows in a Trench Coat, or Murder in a Trench Coat.
Hell yeah.
As we came up with on the Q&A. Become a patron if you want to listen to that. Lonnie Rogers, Slavic and Sapphic, Casey Lynn Kelly, Snake Eyes and Hope of Giants, AK Gone, Aquana Don, Zach Lantian, Info Russell, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Ishi Teddy, Cammy, Reagan Not Like the President, Pagan Jester, Tylen Freeman, Steak Daddy, Tay Tay, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C, Pap the Pap 69, Kayla Lowe, Anna Valinick, Eduardo Diaz, Casey C, Sayesta West, August, Natalie Valinsky, Particular Pickman, Sir Capalot, Jeff Sines, Howard the Duck, Brendan His Egg, JR, Drew Batchilder, Froggy Gumdrop, Zen Doing Their Best, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, Nikki Nine Lives, Sasha, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000, Southwest Socialism, Jared Finch, Evil Vegan, Tactical Snowflake, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon.
Couldn't do it without you.
If you're a patron and your name wasn't on the list, let me know. I'll get you added.
100%. It is because of you that I can afford to do some fun things.
Yeah, some fun things. But maybe not anymore because I got to put all my money into a savings account.
That's true.
And never spend it, never get a coffee, never get anything.
That's I do got to start putting a lot of that money in savings account.
And you're the reason we can do it.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Have a great week.